What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Coffee Q&A. How you doing? It's episode 288. 288. November 13th. How's it going? Here's the weird thing. So I was getting everything set up. Everything's fine. Suddenly, in the last 45 seconds before I hit the start switch, my sinuses start. Now I'm all stuffed up. It's chilly. It's cold. Gosh, how's it going? How you all doing? Welcome back to the show. We're here every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time, talking about coffee. So if you have questions about coffee, drop them in the comments. If you're watching the replay, drop them in the comments too. Or ideas for future videos, we'll be talking about that. We were talking yesterday about Einspanner. So we're going to talk about Einspanner, but not today because I had to do a little research. I called up my friend Reinhard in Vienna. He's in Vienna? He's outside of Vienna. He's in Austria. And I was like, hey, man, what's this Einspanner? And he's like, why are you saying it like that? I was like, because I don't know, it sounds cool. Einspanner, right? He said, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that, you know. And so he's like, I'll message you later with more information. All right, sounds good. So what's going on? How y'all doing? Mom, good to see you. Maku, how are you, man? Sounds like you're ready for some hot coffee. I am. I totally am. I am. So building on what we were talking about yesterday with the macchiato, I thought let's go and look at the drink that has a preponderance of milk, right? And that would be the latte. And so pretty much anything. Now here's something. I don't know if other coffee professionals or people will agree with me, but I don't care. This is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that a latte is any espresso beverage that has a preponderance of milk. And if you want to make it out of almond milk, oat milk, whatever other milk, that's perfectly fine. We won't differentiate between those two. We're just going to use it all together, right? So it's a preponderance of milk. So we have espresso, which is just a straight up espresso. We have macchiato, which has a little bit of milk with it. We have cappuccino, which is equivalent amounts of milk with it. And then there's variations within that cappuccino frame, right? There's cortados and things like that. And then we move past that equivalency, right? Cappuccino would be 2 ounces of espresso, 2 ounces of milk, 2 ounces of foam, right? So we're kind of in that even zone. Now, once the milk part exceeds equilibrium with the espresso, then we move into latte territory. So pretty much anything above that 6 ounce size would be considered latte or latte-ish. I don't know what you think about that, but let me know what you think. But okay, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to make that. So, but it's a very simple thing. And so if you want to make, like Naomi was talking about yesterday, a 7 ounce latte, that's perfectly fine. If you want to make an 8 ounce latte, that's perfectly fine too. If you want to, now let's rewind a little bit because like in practical cafe service, there are some factors that are a bit different. So we talked about cappuccino being a 6 ounce beverage, 2 ounces, 2 ounces, 2 ounces. That's a very kind of strict-ish number that we try to hold fast to. However, in America, at least, we work in a paradigm where we have a lot of customers who want their drinks to go. So while we may have 6 ounce cappuccinos, it becomes, as an operator, difficult to carry 6 ounce paper cups. They do make them, but they're just much more difficult to obtain. They cost more, and you know the amount of cups you're going through is much less by volume than any other size, right? So we would typically opt for 8 ounce to-go cups, and sometimes in those 8 ounce cups, like we would train our baristas not to exceed the 6 ounce limit. So you would kind of have to. Sometimes you'd have to preface to the guest that there's going to be a gap because we're going for that ratio. But a lot of places don't. A lot of places will just make their small cappuccino in an 8 ounce cup, which is really more of a smaller size latte, right? Because it has a greater quantity of milk that exceeds the equilibrium with the espresso. So. But those are some things that happen just because, you know, you have to. Plus also in other cafes, they're offering multiple sizes of cappuccino. And really, I think in many of those places, what that means is that they are using more foam or trying to add more foam to the volume of the cup. So I think if you go to Starbucks, you order like a larger size cappuccino, you're going to get a lot of foam, which is like, again, we're out of balance. Everything's always out of balance. What cappuccino is about balance. Coffee is really about how to balance the ingredients, right? You don't want it to be too out of whack. And this is true with lattes. You want, like, I think that a latte should be something that's going to have a preponderance of milk, but also paired with an espresso that can stand up to that can cut through and still give some kind of oomph to the latte, to the milk, to hold up even in that lower quantity. Now, we'll typically go to 12 ounces with two, so 12-ounce latte, 2 ounces of espresso. Back in the old days, Devlin, how are you, man? Good to see you. Back in the old days of the original espresso, the original espresso started in a library. We did a little like kiosk inside a public library here in Baltimore, and we started there in 2006. And in that first iteration, we were a little bit more mainstream in that we had 4 different sizes of coffees: 8, 12, 16, and 20. And we actually offered the entire menu in those 4 sizes, except for cappuccino, I think. So when you went to, 12 ounces, real simple, 12 ounces, 2 shots. The rest of it is milk. 16 ounces, we really needed to go to 4 shots. So at 16 and 20, we would do 4 shots or 2 double shots into those cups. And that would be our way of reaching that better mixture of coffee to milk, right? Even though your larger sizes. Now, it did cost a lot more. Back then in 2006, we had a price. Well, so we started with that, right? And then I did a 6-month study not too long after we opened that location, but what is our true cost? Are we meeting those true costs? And at the time, our espresso, I was buying our espresso from my mentor who was shipping it from Seattle, and then later from Vancouver, Canada, which added an additional amount of cost. So for every double shot, our cost was roughly $1. So under those terms, when I've calculated out, we have 2 double shots. We got $2 in coffee just off the start. So by working those numbers and understanding it, we realized that, okay, so in order for us to offer a 16-ounce latte, we would have to charge $6.25, which in 2006, 2007 is astronomical for a latte. Maybe not so much today, but in those times, quite a lot. Even I was like, I knew that it was very clear that we had to do that. So about 2 months into Spro, I realized that, 20 ounce, this is ridiculous. Actually, we probably didn't even make it 2 months into it. We bought 1 case of 20 ounce cups. And then after that, I was like, well, this is ridiculous, because we were brewed coffee. We followed the brewed coffee service that Dwayne had at Stumptown at the time, where they would use the large 51-ounce French presses from Bodum, double gang them, and then pour them into air pots. So you dispense them that way. We were doing that because I really liked that style of coffee, that style of service. But if you're brewing 60 ounces and you're serving 20-ounce cups, it becomes difficult to manage, because if a lot of people buy the 20-ounce cups, which not too many people bought, but if they did, then you're like, in 3 cups, you got to rebrew. So you're like, oh, we're not. And if you've got like 10 people and they all want 20-ounce cups, you've got a problem. And especially since you're manually brewing everything and it takes 5 minutes to prepare. So you're like, oh, this is not the way to go. So we pretty much eliminated 20-ounce cups right away. Then we took away the 16, but the problem with deleting after you've started. So I always think that now, I always encourage people to start as hardcore as you possibly can, or as narrow as you can. You can always add. But if you're broad and then you subtract, people get upset. Like when we took away the 20 ounce, not a big deal. Took away the 16 ounce. Oh, I heard it. I heard it a lot. I heard a lot of that. So eventually we took away the 16, but then had to relent and we would have 16-ounce cups, but only as an under-the-counter off-menu item. So if you knew that we had it, you could ask for it, we would serve it to you, but it was no longer on our menu. And I remember when we changed our pricing for the latte, I remember I'd already taken off the menu, right? The 16-ounce size. And a lady walks up, she's like, I'd like to get a 16-ounce latte or a grande size latte, whatever it was. And I was like, it'll be $6.25. And, and I was like, I was cringing when I said it. Like, I was like, she didn't even bat an eye. She was like, okay, here you go. I was like, holy smokes. Maybe we should bring it back. Bring it back. Peter, good morning to you as well. How are you doing today? So the latte is something that I think is really a fun, really good drink that people can really enjoy, or people really do enjoy. And so let's get into what we're going to do today. We're going to be making espresso. So let's go pull our test shot here. I've refilled our hopper, some more coffee, although this coffee that I've refilled it with, you can't really see it. Can kind of see it. Can you kind of see it? Let me loosen that. You can kind of see it there. Okay, there we go. You can kind of see it. I refilled it with some coffee. This is not, there's still some of the Espresso 99 at the bottom, but this is now a different coffee that I'm actually testing out at the moment. I have a small batch of it that I roasted up. Fairly, not fairly dark, but more along the espresso parameter of roasting. So what that means for us is really we're going for a little bit longer roasting, in that we're driving good heat into it at the outset, and we're bringing it kind of up to the edge of second crack. So we're past first crack finishes, and then after the end of first crack, we're stretching out to about 40, 45 seconds or so. And like, if this is the point of, like, if this is the curve, right, where this is the curve, we're cascading, we are climbing towards the curve. This is second crack. We're trying to drop it right there, like just kiss that edge. If there's a few beans that drop that are cracking, that's fine. We don't want to go into full second crack, but just right to the edge brings us to this level of roast profile. So, which is very similar in the roast profile that we use for the espresso, but I wanted to see how this coffee performed, because maybe this will become a component for the espresso in the future. Because one thing that happens here is that as one of the things you have to do, and if you're roasting coffee at home, you will have to do this as well, is that you have you have a blend, you have coffees that you like, coffees that you're using. And now as the supply chain wanes, right? So let's say, okay, the coffee we're talking about, let's say we're using this big El Salvador. So we got a whole bunch of this El Salvador available to us, right? We're buying the El Salvador, we're using the El Salvador, but at some point that El Salvador is going to be depleted, and we will need to replace that component in our blend with another component from somewhere else. But we're looking for something that will have similar characteristics or can carry the coffee in a similar manner to replace that. Now, that may also mean that it may not be exact, it probably won't be exact, so it may also mean we have to change some of the other components of the blend, maybe slightly different ratios to find that proper position of blends, of components, to give consistent results. Because the difficult part of, I think, coffee roasting or coffee purveying is not finding these esoteric, beautiful coffees in the world. To me, that's super easy. You go to a place, you go to an importer, you go to numerous sources, and you can find beautiful coffee. That's not too difficult. The difficult part is when you have an established profile that people are expecting you to be consistent on, and you must deliver that consistency time and time again, day in, day out, month, year. It must continue on. To me, that's really the difficult part, because you always have varying availability for your resources. For example, even if I was able to buy, like, from one of our let's say we'll go to a producer and say, I'm going to buy this coffee I'm going to buy everything for a year, which is what you try to do. Even though you have, like, let's say you're doing it correctly and you purchased the coffee for a year and you're consuming it on track to that you'll have the supply of coffee for the year. The thing is that coffee is sitting in a warehouse, and that coffee is maybe slowly or maybe fasterly changing, evolving, right, in its life cycle. So you've got to manage that as well. So that may mean, even though you have the same coffee, you may have to tweak it, because you're typically tasting, and it's not always like you have to sit down and do the cupping. Like, I don't necessarily do a lot of critical cupping once we've established a blend and roast. I'll typically do the tasting, the QC, as we make our shots every day. We're making shots, we're tasting the shots, we're seeing how it is, and just kind of proofing it that way, if that makes sense. All right, so let's make some coffee now. We're going to go here. And again, like I said before, I don't normally change anything during the days after we shoot this live stream. And I didn't do that yesterday. I just kind of went about my business yesterday. I had to go pick up a router table I bought. Got a really great deal on a router table that had all these router fences that I was really looking for. Saved a tremendous amount of money in the process. So I was very lucky in that respect. And met a very interesting guy that's deep into electric vehicles and developing battery technologies for both vehicles and any kind of battery application. Really fascinating gentleman. Turns out the router was his father's router table, who had passed away not too long ago, and he was just managing the father's estate. So all right, test shot coming up. Make sure that runs clean. Ooh, a little bit bubbly. Maybe we're getting some of the newer coffee in here already. There really wasn't much at all of the Espresso 99 left over. Okay, let's look at that and come back over here. Not bad looking. Nice dark reddish brown creme. A little bit of, the blonding there. So this newer coffee is a coffee that I'm getting from Guatemala. It's definitely a lot of that in here, because there's unlike the espresso normally, this has a little bit more of a one note, a lot more. It's got good body. It's got some good bitterness, good like cacao tones, not chocolate, but cacao tones. But I think it's really mostly that at the moment, because I didn't take the coffee out previous to this. I just kind of dumped it all in. There's only very little left. So I think we're getting a lot of that newer Guatemala, which it's a nice component, but it just doesn't have the complete balance, because it's just not the complete coffee. But nice overall, though. Nice overall. I'm not displeased with it. There you go. Nice and dark. Creme. Let's have a look at our puck here. So looks clean, nice compaction, dry, excellent. Oh, this is the problem. Once in a while you hit it wrong, and your whole basket falls into the trash, which might be a good reason to opt and start using the what do you call it? The knockbox. But Let me just rinse off this basket. Rinse it off to reheat it a little bit. All right, I think that'll be good. I think this will be a good spot for us to go to for trying out our latte. So let us get our mug ready. We got our big 12-ounce mug here. This is actually a cup from 2015. We would actually make these type of mugs for in-house service. So, and then if you were a guest, you could buy them, or I'm sure quite a lot of them were stolen. There was a lot of different iterations over the years. This is the one from our 5th anniversary in Hamden. One of my baristas, Michelle, she's a great little artist. She made a little rendition. This is really kind of a play on our main window at the shop back then. This is like a nice little rendition of the awning that we had, and then we had a big bay window with this logo in the middle of it. Looked kind of like that. So I still have this. That's one of my favorite of all the mugs that we produced over the years. All right. Here we go. Time to go again. All right, so here's our dose. You can see there's a little bit of like a cave going on right here, right? So whenever we have these caves, just kind of maneuver it around. I would just maneuver it around just to get it to coverage so we can reduce the potential for channeling. And then we're just going to drop this on and level it out. Make sure I'm using my fingers on opposing sides to make sure that the coffee bed is leveled. Reset by grabbing it. Then tamp a little bit of twist to polish at the end so that we have a nice clean surface here. You can see that there is the concentric circles from the C-style tamper. This particular tamper has a little bit of a chamfered edge right here. And that idea is that it's going to push the coffee to the edges. All right, here we go. Let's start brewing this. Put that in. We're also going to grab our 20-ounce pitcher because we're going to need some milk. And while that's pulling, we're going to shake our cream-lined milk and then put it in to the pitcher. That's done. We're filling our milk. I'm going to fill it just below the spout. Should be good enough. We're doing a little more of these latte videos or these milk videos because this milk is going to expire or the sell-by date is coming up. And I want to get it. Here's something. One thing I do recommend if you have these La Marzocco portafilters, take the spout off before you use tall cups. Otherwise, you have to try to maneuver it out. Let's look at our... Ooh, I like that. I'm liking that shot a lot. Look at that. That's nice and pretty. A little bit of bubbles in there, so I'm just going to tap it out to tap out the bubbles. And let's go back to the machine because we need to check our good. A little bit of overrun there. I'm just going to put this down for the moment because I want to have some space for maneuvering our steam wand. Flush the steam wand a bit. And we're ready to go. So let us go. We're going to let it rip full power. Let it roll. Trying to get it to roll. I don't know if you can see that rolling action, but I'm trying to keep it rolling and combining. I don't think I got enough. I don't think we have enough foam, to be honest with you. We're going to let it scream a little bit. Right about there. Once it starts to go down and rumble, there we go. Now we're done. Now we know that that doesn't look so appetizing. What's going on with that? Look at this thing. It looks all bubbly. Maybe it's too old. I think it's all right. Maybe it's just the cream line. Okay, let's see. So here's our milk. We need to swirl it Oh, that looks... Even full cream line milk, I've never seen that. That may not be good. Let's have a taste. Let's have a sampling and see. Oh. That's right on the verge. Like, that is right on the edge. Here's an interesting thing. Look at this milk, right? It's all kind of, yeah, that looks scary. That's scaring me. It's scary. But here's the interesting thing. As I tasted this little sample, it's not sour. It doesn't really taste like it's off. The texture feels weird. And I don't know, maybe we just steamed it too heavy. Maybe I steamed it too hot. Maybe let's try it again. Let's try this steaming again. We're going to do this one more time. Let's do this steaming one more time because I did really push it to like 180 something probably. Let's reset and try again and again. See if we get better results. Okay. The interesting thing though is it's got this weird texture, but it's actually really sweet. Like the sweetness is really nice. So I thought that was interesting. There we go. A little bit of milk in there, about that much. I thought that was really interesting because, you know, or it's also when you steam your milk properly, you can increase the sweetness, which this really did. All right, let's try this again. All right, I'm going to stop earlier than I would have. That looks marginally better. No, that doesn't look any better. That looks, oh God, that looks worse. Oh yeah, this cannot be good. Whoa. Yeah, okay. We are definitely, this says Best Buy 11/14. That's tomorrow. Okay, I think sadly this milk is done for any kind of heating. Wow, look at that. That looks, yeah, we're not even going to try that. That's a little bit scary there, a little bit scary. All right, so how do we compensate for this and, you know, rectify? We'll have to do another latte video another day because as much as I love you guys, I don't really want to have to be ill today. So let's do something that we wouldn't normally do, and we probably shouldn't do. Like you really won't hear people recommend you to do this. But let's make an Americano from this. We'll try to, you know, salvage it with Americano. Do I have anything interesting here? We have a little bit of this creme de cacao. So this is a little bit of chocolatiness. So let's make, yeah, Devin says better safe than sorry. Absolutely. Let's make a chocolate Americano. So we're going to take our double shot here, right? And let's get a shot glass. We're going to do a little bit of shooting here with our creme de cacao. Now this is like from the 80s. This bottle is so old. Look at this. This sticker, they don't even do these to stickers anymore. And I wish they put the date on these stickers, but all right. Aged creme de cacao. I don't even know what this tastes like. let's have a taste of it. Just tadakimasu. Fascinating. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, we're going to add this now to our espresso. And we're going to take some water from the tap. Now, most people will tell you never to do this because, you know, the water in your machine has been calcifying, you know, minerals have been building up as the boiler is heated up. There's minerals, so it's going to be a more minerally taste, but whatever. And I'm going to pull it directly from, this is actually pulling water directly from the boiler. So perhaps not the most ideal way to do it. I'm going to pull, I think we're running out of water now. So that's about 10 ounces. Uh-oh. I might get water lock on this thing, so I better refill. This is one of the problems when you're pulling water from a reservoir. When you're pulling water from the reservoir, you're pulling a lot of volume out of it. So that could cause you problems. You don't want to run out of water and have your pump run dry, which leads to more problems. Now, I have left this sitting out a little bit longer. So we're just going to add this in here and, we'll just kind of do a very simple kind of thing. Okay, there we go. Good. Guess I'm going to need a new thumbnail for this one. Okay. Creme de Cacao, Americano. Of course, it's very hot. Now, here's one of the things that's interesting. However, we're not getting a lot of pronunciation from the creme de cacao, so I'm going to add a little bit more. About that much more. Now, one of the things is that creme de cacao is going to be very heavy, so I'm presuming that's going straight to the bottom. So I'm going to use the bar spoon just to give it a little bit of a stirring. This is me whenever we do these kind of shows where I'm tasting these alcohols. I don't really have breakfast in the morning, so I'll probably feel it heavier. Okay, so let's have a taste. There we go, a little bit more pronunciation with that. Actually, it's really nice. What might make it fun if we had a little bit of cream or milk to add to it, give that kind of like mocha latte kind of character to it. Or maybe not, maybe it just needs it like this. Actually, that's pretty darn good. I think I would prefer to have this than an Irish coffee. So that's pretty much what you have to do when you're working. If you're behind the bar working or any kind of, I'm sure for all of you in your situations wherever you work, sometimes you just have to make up on the fly and like adjust as things go awry. So we had, while we're going to make latte today, it has not worked out in our favor. But now we have gotten something in our favor because now we have creme de cacao Americano. Which is an interesting pursuit that might be worth greater exploration, or at least for you to try at home. when you want to have coffee, have a little bit of chocolate and get a little bit sloshed. All right. I got to go deliver some more stuff around the area. Time to run off. Thank you very much for tuning in. Always good to see you. Back again tomorrow with more coffee Q&A. Oh, by the way, I just meant to mention, I know some of you might be wondering about the Ode saga. So like last week, we talked to Ode and they were like, okay, we're going to send you a new one. And I thought the guy said that he was going to send it expedited. I thought he was going to put it in really fast. So I've been wondering, I thought it would arrive Friday. Then I thought it would arrive Monday, but I didn't really check up on it. And I looked at the order that the email they sent me from last week. Was it yesterday? I looked at it, or the day before, Monday, but it didn't have a tracking number. And so finally last night, I think it was last night, they sent me a tracking number. And I was like, wow, it took, or maybe this morning. And I was like, oh, it took a week. I was like, that's a bit of a long time. I don't know if that's normal for their processes, but I was like, I thought that the guy said he was going to go fast with it, but when you say you're going to expedite, I figured it's going to ship that day. That's kind of what I have in my mind. But evidently, it's in the process of being shipped. The UPS has their tracking number, but they do not have possession of the grinder yet, and it's on the way. So I would have liked it on Monday, but if it comes tomorrow or by Friday, I guess that's fine. Give us time for more content. Mom, always good to see you, man. Peter, Dewan, always good to see you. Maku, thank you very much for tuning in. Be back again next time, and see you then.